Good afternoon. It's September 29, 2024. We're critiquing the news. The article on your screens from the Sunday Mail, and it's titled Roadside Births on Increase in Bush. To quote a couple of paragraphs from this article, Queensland mothers are birthing at the side of the road at a much higher rate than the national average, sparking a call from rural doctors for the restoration and expansion of vital birthing services. And further on, it notes that the Cairns and hinterland area is seeing more birth before arrivals than anywhere else in the state, with 1.54% of births. Now, part of the reason for that will be the fact that Queensland's the most decentralised state. We have the most people living outside of the capital cities and the major towns. There's also the tyranny of distance, with Queensland being one of the biggest states relative to the size of its population. Now, the Rural Doctors Association Queensland president has weighed in, and she says, "I do not want any Queensland mother or baby to be disadvantaged or endangered because of a lack of services. When a birth has been labelled low risk, it really just means that the specific risks have not been identified, not that there is no risk at all. And of course, there is risk in everything that humans engage in, even getting in the car to drive to the hospital, or getting in an ambulance to travel to the airport to be then picked up by a plane to fly to a hospital. They've all got risks, but the fact remains that as a species, we've been producing children at the side of the road, at the side of the bush track, in the village hut for thousands of generations. Birth is a completely natural part of the human life cycle, and sometimes these things get a bit too medicalised for profit, and we'll go into that in a little bit further. So anyway, the RDAQ, the Rural Doctors Association of Queensland, is pushing for the next government to commit to restoration plans for local sustainable birthing, starting with Cooktown, Billawheeler and Chinchilla. And that is indeed a worthy goal. And they also want, when women need to relocate to larger centres, they will often try to delay travel as long as possible to reduce the stress on their family and their own isolation support networks. This sometimes means the baby comes before the mother arrives at her birthing destination, so what they want is for the birthing destination to be closer to the women's homes, and that's absolutely should be the case. Now the question becomes, how do you achieve that? Well, if we look at the obstacles to the small birthing centres that we used to have, like pretty much every hospital is capable of handling a birth, and pretty much every town had one, even places as small as Herberton still had a hospital up until 20 or 30 years ago. Now it's just an aged care centre. So one of the issues, one of the stumbling blocks here is credentialism. There's the idea that for someone to be qualified in a given subject, they've got to have a degree from university and a government-approved qualification, and that's not necessarily the case, as we see with all sorts of experts in the modern era. Some of them simply have no idea what they're talking about, and there's none more central to that argument than the climate experts who've never got a prediction right, whose basic atmospheric heat equations don't factor in all the inputs and so on. Then you've got litigation, so everyone's very quick to sue, to take the matter up in court if something doesn't turn out to their liking. And okay, sure, people make mistakes, but we're also going to drive them out of the market if we keep suing them to the rate that they can't afford the public liability insurance in order to be able to cover their costs and make a reasonable profit commensurate with their skills and experience. So there is much to fix with things like regional health, but the idea that we can just wave a magic wand and return to the days of old without some pain is wishful thinking. We're going to have to unpack a lot of the problems that were created by greed and by credentialism and by the insurance industry. And that's not going to be an easy path to achieve, to walk, and the Labor and Liberal Uni Party will have no interest whatsoever in doing that, because they're quite loyal to the Labor Party, in particular to unions such as the Australian Medical Association, and they like things just the way they are because they're the ones who have engineered them. Yes, we do need to return to a whole lot of services in the bush, but it's not going to happen overnight, and the Labor Liberal Uni Party aren't going to do it. Way to start trying to make things different is to get those people out of our parliaments.